Good morning. Continuing our discussion of Hol HaMoed. Yesterday we talked about whether men wear tefillin on Hol HaMoed or not, and the different customs with regards to that. Now, before we get to the actual milachot, what a person is or isn't allowed to do on Hol HaMoed, but what is expected for a person, what's the general conduct of a person during these days? So, we need to recognize, and the Rambam writes this explicitly, in fact, it's in the Torah, "V'samachta b'chagecha," the mitzvah of being happy on the Chag, on Pesach and Sukkot, applies also equally to the days of Hol HaMoed. Exactly the same. And so, uh, everything which we've learned in the past about the mitzvah of Simcha on Yom Tov applies equally to Hol HaMoed. So, this is above in Moadim 4 and 5 a few months ago. But in short, we explained that for men there is a mitzvah to have wine, if that makes them happy, or meat. There's also a mitzvah to have a seudah, to wash on bread, if that's possible. There's no obligation, which is why if a person did wash and forgot to say Ya'aleh v'yavo and Birkat Hamazon, they don't need to repeat Birkat Hamazon. There's no obligation. But there is a mitzvah to have wine, to have meat, and to have bread. Again, there is no obligation with these things. It's a mitzvah to do so, but of course, if a person has the ability to do so, this is the mitzvah of samachta b'chagecha. That's the examples the Hachamim gave. However, anything which really makes a person sameach, whether it's dancing, this is why this whole simchat beta shoeva and sukkot, anything which makes a person happy, that is all part of the mitzvah of samachta b'chagecha, and a person fulfills this mitzvah. And of course, to remember that the real simcha has to be when it's an inclusive simcha, as the Torah says, "Samachta b'chagecha, ta u'bincha u'bitecha v'abdecha u'matecha." When you eat and you drink and you have a good time, but you also invite those who are less fortunate or those who need someone to be happy with. That is the ultimate simcha, when we join and include others in our simcha. With regards to clothes as well, a person should not wear regular weekday clothes. And in fact, the Mishnah in Avot says, "Hamevazeh et hamoadot en lo chelek la'aba." A person who disgraces the moed, he has no portion in the world to come. It's quite severe, and actually in the Rishonim they debate what this means. Some understand this to be Yom Tov, but Rashi actually interprets this to be Hol HaMoed. And he says those who who eat regularly and eat and drink regularly, they don't make any noted difference in their conduct in Hol HaMoed. That is called Mevazeh HaMoadot. That is called the person who denigrates the Moed, which means there's an emphasis here that persons eat food, drink, and clothes need to be different in Chol HaMoed. So yes, you don't have the whole fancy meals which we have on Yom Tov, but it needs to be recognized a special meal for Chol HaMoed, each day of Chol HaMoed. And if a person enjoys wine, he has wine, and so on and so forth. And the clothes as well, special clothes, Shabbat clothes, rather than just regular weekday clothes. Because of this mitzvah of simcha, of being happy on Chol HaMoed, it's forbidden to get married on Chol HaMoed or to go to a wedding on Chol HaMoed. One can go to a Sheva Brachot, one can make Sheva Brachot. A couple who got married before Pesach or before Sukkot, they can have Sheva Barachot on Chol HaMoed. It's absolutely fine because it's an existing simcha. But to make a new simcha on Pesach or Sukkot is asur, the Hachamim said, because en marvin simcha b'simcha. We don't want to mix the two simcha together. Being happy with the couple is going to detract from the simcha of the Chag. So in conclusion, our conduct in Chol HaMoed is almost like Yom Tov in terms of food, drink, clothes, and to really enjoy the time, to make the most of it. And tomorrow we'll talk more about what's further expected of us on Hol HaMoed.